served as a member of the board of directors of Lufthansa Cargo Services Logísticos de México since January 2006. He's an active board member of the German-American Chamber of Commerce, a trustee of the Arthur Burns Fellowship, and a member of the Joint Airline Venture Board. He's married and has 2 children. Jurgen, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you very much.
Federico, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here. This is my 3rd visit to Puerto Rico. The first time I came here, on invitation of your government, after the Lufthansa Technik decided to come here, and obviously there's a strong desire for Lufthansa passenger airlines to fly to Puerto Rico, right? So I had to come here personally to have a look at this beautiful island. You live in the part of paradise. Please don't make any selfies with me that show the beach or any palm trees, because back home this doesn't go down very well. I have to keep explaining myself that I'm on a duty trip. So we have to keep it at the moment kind of a secret. The second time I came here was with my family because I liked it so much. We came here for vacation and had a fantastic time just here in San Juan. And today is my 3rd visit, and as you know, we have some really great events coming up, especially tomorrow and Sunday in Argentina. Emma asked me to come and join you guys and be your keynote speaker. Before I give you kind of a rough overview on the Lufthansa Group and who we are and what we do and what our challenges are, I would like to share a little film with you because to sort of get in the mood for the Lufthansa Group. So whoever's in charge of the technical part, can you press the button for the film? Okay, it's coming. we stack the food trays? We are run by engineers. Our company, like most aviation companies, we have a very strong engineering background. Our CEO is an engineer and a pilot, so whatever we do is pretty precise and exact. Those of you who work for German companies or for a German company, you know what kind of mindset we are in. What we try to do nowadays is get in some softer touch, a bit more of empathy and service. Sometimes the German is not so easy, right? So, thanks for that opportunity. Who of you have flown with Lufthansa in the last year? Okay, not enough. I need to improve my sales. Maybe after this presentation, some of you have some interest or get a taste of the Lufthansa group. So I'm glad to support your new travel needs. So let me start off in giving you a little. Now you know I'm not an engineer. Okay, quick overview of the Lufthansa Group. When we talk Lufthansa Group, traditionally people think of the airline side, the passenger side. But there's much more to the Lufthansa Group than just flying passengers from A to B. About 70%, 75% of our business is flying passengers, but the other 25% is basically aviation-related business. Aviation-related business like what Elmar does in Aguadilla, Lufthansa Technik, maintenance, repair, overhaul, this kind of business. By the way, very, very profitable, very successful. But we also offer Lufthansa Cargo, logistics services. We are the #1 company in catering. We have our own systems division. We do Lufthansa Consulting, so we have a very broad band of services, but the core is the passenger business. And when I talk passenger business, I talk 4 brands. Lufthansa, German Airlines. I talk Swiss Airlines. I talk Austrian Airlines. And to a certain extent, Brussels Airlines. As you can see, it's not only Lufthansa, we have quite a portfolio of highly regarded passenger brands. So in total, the Lufthansa Group is over 119, I think it's more, over 120,000 people worldwide, and we are considered the largest aviation in the world. So aviation in the broader sense, everything to do with aviation. That as a kind of overview. When we look at the US and Puerto Rico, it's very interesting to see, if you look at this map, we are all over the place. It's not only that we fly through 19 gateways, but our colleagues from catering are at 37 gateways. They actually work in airports that Lufthansa or the Lufthansa Group doesn't fly to, as well as Lufthansa Technik that are based out of Tulsa, have some unit in Florida and obviously in Puerto Rico. So the Lufthansa Group has about 14,000 people just alone in the US, and that's roughly 10% of the overall workforce. The US represents the largest market for Lufthansa outside Germany. So in general, a huge market for us when all group companies are present. And you can just see where from Alaska down to Florida, including Puerto Rico, the Lufthansa Group is very active and a proud citizen in the US. Yesterday, for those of you who are into finance and numbers, you know, the airline industry is chronically, let's say, a low-margin business. And we're always struggling with the ups and downs of the industry. But the results that came up yesterday are impressive. You can say that for the Lufthansa Group, but by the way, if you read the papers, you can say that for most airlines. If you look at the financial results, everybody is performing at a very high level. Most probably for us, this will be the best third quarter we've ever had in our history, and looking forward, it's going to be a fantastic year. But if you dig a little deeper and you look at what's driving the results, I think it's common knowledge. The low oil price is fueling a lot of that profitability, and in our case, currency, especially the strong dollar, is helping us. If you take that out, and then, at least in the Lufthansa group, we are still faced with those challenges, those typical challenges of yield decline, unit cost increase, and overcapacity. And I will give you an overview of that. But what you also see here is pretty unique for an airline group, is we have a broad portfolio of activities which help us in this cyclical business. So if one unit is not doing so well, the other unit can compensate. And compared, for example, with British Airways and with some of the other airline groups, we have always tried to spread the risk within our aviation group, and then up to now has worked very well for us. So when the passenger business is down, technique is up, cargo is up, it kind of keeps us afloat. Nevertheless, the structural challenges we have as a group are still very much out there, and I will touch on that, how we want to challenge this. So, when we talk Lufthansa Group and the challenges we face as a company, you have to keep in mind where we're based. We're based in the center of Europe, in Germany, and I guess it's one of the most expensive places to produce, to have your company. Not only is it expensive, but we have a lot of environmental issues, regulatory issues, tax issues that we have to overcome that in other markets are not the case. So let me just run you through some of the overall high-level challenges that we face and that might not exist, for example, in the US. Yeah? So I talked about the cost structure, the yield decline. If you look at that little car there, you know the VW Beetle? I haven't seen one in the Beetle yet, but you see a lot of those cars in the US. And you can see that the average yield that we produce in our company has dramatically changed and gone down compared to, for example, the automotive industry, where today you have to pay like 8 months' salaries to afford a VW Beetle. On the contrary, for buying a ticket, you only pay like 1 week's salary. So it shows how our industry has, at least when it comes to yield and average pricing, declined. When it comes to competition, also important to know, and I think you know low-cost carriers in the US, JetBlue, Southwest. In Europe, the share of low-cost seats is already reached 40%. In Europe, in US, it's about 30% and flat. So we're seeing a tremendous surge of low-cost carriers encroaching in our traditional business models. And here are only two, EasyJet and Ryanair, obviously very big ones, but there are other ones like Vueling from Spain, Wizz from Hungary. So more and more carriers that are coming in and trying to bite away and eat away at our market share. But it's not only the low-cost carriers in Europe that are a major challenge for us, it's also on the long-haul basis, especially the Middle Eastern carriers. It's the Gulf carriers that are a fantastic product at way lower cost than we do. Their cost basis is about 30% lower than that of the Netherlands. On the low-cost side, Ryanair and EasyJet about 40 to 50% cheaper when it comes to producing so on the long haul, very strong competition from the east. By the way, I don't know if you've heard of the companies of Norwegian. They are entering the long haul low-cost arena, where we are facing challenges now in the North Atlantic. Very good product, brand new airplanes, and extremely cheap prices. Then in Germany, we are faced with monopolies or duopolies. When you talk to airports, you have hardly any leverage when you talk pricing, cost, fees. So it's basically a take or leave it attitude, and it's tough for us because our two major airports in Munich and in Frankfurt are basically our motherships where most of our flights go to. Then when it comes to the regulatory environment, we have tax. We have an aviation tax. It was introduced a couple of years ago. I guess our finance minister needed some money. I don't say don't do any of that here, please. Don't stand away from that. It doesn't help the aviation industry in business overall, but they introduced it in Germany. It is a major burden. We have a night curfew. For example, when you fly to Frankfurt, you can the last plane leaves at 11 at night, and then for about 6 hours, no movement possible. So that means either your planes are on the ground, or somewhere else, but it's a huge loss of productivity. It's bad for logistics, just-in-time, overnight services, and for some of the leisure carriers, it's a major disadvantage to actually operate into some places like the Caribbean. So big disadvantage, the public won't support night operations. So there's hardly any airport in Germany where you can do a 24/7 operation. And even in Leipzig, where DHL, one of the sponsors, has a major hub, it's not as easy, but it's still possible compared to Frankfurt, which is the biggest airport in Europe. Then emission trading scheme, and then we don't have a single European sky. We still have, every country basically has their own air traffic control. It's crazy, makes it very complicated, very expensive, and very not efficient. So one more reason to work together. Last but not least, one of the big challenges for us as a company is the union situation. Whereas in the past we were talking to 1 or 2 unions, and when we had a deal, we covered all our stuff. Things are changing in Germany. We have more and more fragmented unions, smaller unions, specialized unions, because they see an opportunity to get more leverage for their staff. So it's the pilots, it's the cabin crew, it's the guys that drive the follow-me truck, and it's the people that run the security lines. Each of them have their own union, and we're basically in a constant mode of negotiating union contracts. One of them don't go on strike, the whole system goes down. Yeah? So the people that run the security lines go on strike, the whole airport, airlines, everything goes down. So we're faced with a fragmentation of unions and a constant negotiation. It's very tough, especially the negotiations with our pilots. It's been ongoing now for nearly 2 years. We had 13 strikes. I don't know if, hopefully none of you have been affected. I apologize if anything was disrupted, but it's been tough on the company, on the bottom line, but also on our image. Because we're a German company, reliable, punctual, exact, right? Like we saw in the film. But strikes didn't help us in that direction. So these are some of the challenges we face, external challenges, which doesn't make it easier when you operate out of Europe. Keep in mind, we do not have Chapter 11. We do not have any legal vehicle where we can restructure our company. We have to sit down with all our stakeholders and discuss business, work things through, and hopefully improve the overall situation. When we compare the US with Europe, consolidation always comes up. If you look at the US, basically the top 5 carriers make up about 80% of the business. If you move to Europe, just look at the map on the right side, you'll see we're far away from consolidation. Even though Lufthansa has been active in buying up other companies, you know that I mentioned Swiss and Austria and Brussels, we still have too many airlines. Basically every country has their own carrier. Countries want to keep them, even though they might not be profitable or there's no real future for them. And Latin America is even ahead of the game now, after LATAM and some of the merger activities there. So what you see here is a Europe that's totally fragmented. There's no real business logic behind some of these carriers. And as long as that's the case, it will stay very, very difficult to operate within Europe, but also in and out of Europe. When it comes to market capitalization, those of you who are in finance, around 2000, Lufthansa was considered the number 3 carrier when it came to market cap. We were basically rated very highly, and you can see how things have changed. Within 15 years, the world of aviation, the once weak players, disregarded US carriers, moved up the ranks, and you can see that Delta nowadays is leading the pack when it comes to market cap. US carriers have done a fantastic job in turning around their business model, working on their costs, working on their efficiencies, and you can just see it in the market cap. And it just shows you what challenges we still have ahead of us when it comes to market capitalization. So we are, I think, at number 12 or 14. But if you'd asked me 5-6 years ago that the top 3 for carriers would be US carriers, people would say you're crazy. So things change dramatically, and it also again shows what challenges we as a group have ahead of us. Some trends for you, I think nothing new. When we look at at travel as general, we see that corporate travel more or less in the next 10-15 years is flat. And we are traditionally a corporate carrier. Lufthansa has about a share of 40% business travelers. We never really had a strong focus on leisure and private travel, but the trend shows that in the future, that leisure segment is going to grow. Driven by big markets like India, or China, or even Latin America, where the middle class is earning more and more money, is going out and traveling, and we see a stronger growth in the leisure arena. So a big change, at least from our point. Another, I don't want to go through each of these, but another big trend for us is in the age of digitalization, people have all their personal or their iPhones and iPads, is personalization. People want individual offers. We see more and more customers, they don't want to pay for something they don't need. If they travel from A to B and they don't have a bag, they don't want to pay for the bag. They want to pay for something they need. So we see a trend from the consumer side to more, tell me what you have and I can pick and choose and I can build my own travel, my own journey. So that's something we as airlines have to react to because the system has been fairly static. We offer a price, and this price includes whatever, maybe a lounge pass, some food, 2 bags, whatever. Half the people might not need it. So it's something that we have to adapt and follow up. So these big trends, leisure, personalization, individualization, is something that we will be focusing on in future. That needs a lot of money, especially on the IT side, investment, big data. You need to work with customer data, you have to collect customer data, you have to be able to track your customers. So, what's the plan? What's the Lufthansa plan? Basically, 2 years ago, our board said, listen, we need to change our business model fundamentally. We have to turn things around, we have to transform the company. We want to stay the #1 in aviation. And obviously, the customer, the shareholder, and the employee must stay in the focus. And we have to keep working on our fleet. The average fleet age is around 12 years. There are a lot of companies that have younger fleets, so we need to invest in new aircraft, not only from a customer point of view, but also obviously for productivity and economic reasons. We are a AAA rated company, one of 2 or 3 airlines that actually have a rating, an invest rating, and that needs to be maintained because that keeps interest rates down. And last but not least, in the relevant markets where we are, we have to maintain our position, because if we don't, we lose our relevance to customers and other stakeholders in the market. So our aim is in the big markets to be either #1 or #2. In Europe, we have that. In the US, we can only do it with a partner like United or Air Canada. They help us to maintain that relevance. And in Asia, we have a joint venture with All Nippon Airlines, and in China, we're moving towards a partnership with one of the big Chinese carriers. So that's basically how we want to retain our market position. The points around it, I think, anybody that's going for a turnaround or for a transformation knows that customer centricity, listen, look at your customers very closely. Innovation, we, for example, established an innovation hub in Berlin. We have a group of people there that have no history with Lufthansa. We hired them from schools, from other tech companies. And all they do is think about ideas that are somehow related to the aviation group or to travel. And we let them work outside the normal structure, because once you put them into your structure, some of that creativity gets lost. So we're investing heavily. They actually report directly to the CEO, and they don't get involved with our day-to-day business. And we're really interested to see what kind of ideas are going to come out of that group. But they are very creative people. They don't care about how they look, what they do. They work 24/7. So that's something we're investing. We've spent about 50 million in this innovation hub, and we might extend that project to Los Angeles or San Francisco, where a lot of the big companies have these innovation centers. Anyway, new concepts for growth. You saw that the leisure arena is growing. We need to find ways to tap into that revenue in a profitable way. And I'll touch on that now, because the current system would not allow us to follow that leisure trend. Obviously, improving our efficiency and working on our organization, and I'll share that with you now. So this is kind of our way forward, our strategy, how we should face these challenges and turn the company around. Okay, some of the products and the pictures here you just saw in the film, but maybe just some numbers for you. We sent 30 billion euros last year. We placed the biggest single order of a German company after the Second World War, ordering 250 aircraft. So 777s, A350s, and some smaller aircraft. Elmar is going to be a very busy man when they all come in, need maintenance and more. But we made a conscious decision, we need to renew our fleet. So huge order of aircraft coming in. Obviously we're going to phase out some of the older aircraft. But not only did we invest in our aircraft, we also invested in our product. And those of you who are regular Lufthansa customers might have experienced the old business class or the old first class. Well, we've turned things around. We retrofitted over 400 aircraft. So the whole fleet, there's no difference in route or aircraft when it comes to the seats available. New first class, new business class, and new premium economy. Very new to us because it's not only extra leg, it's a different concept, it's a different product. So please try it out. It's been a huge success. Not only in planes and cabins, but also infrastructure. The Frankfurt airport has tremendously improved, and Munich, as one of the 5-star airports in Europe, will get a new terminal effective March next year. So further investments into the product, not only in the air, but also on the ground. So this has to do with customer centricity, and improving the whole travel experience when you fly with Lufthansa. When it comes to our strategy in our organization, we've basically made a conscious decision to bundle our activities, where we're coming from a decentral approach, where every company basically could do what they wanted. Swiss, Austrian, they were all basically in charge of their own future, as well as the subsidiaries, Technik, Cargo. We are now consciously looking at synergies and bundling activities and looking what can we do together. So we have 3 pillars. One is the traditional airline, some premium brands we have in our portfolio. You see Swiss, Austrian, and Lufthansa. The focus is here to improve margins, to become more customer focused, to take out costs, to improve productivity. On the commercial side, we are also moving to what we call a multi-brand approach. So I'm the sales guy to sell all the brands. I will be responsible for the budget and the revenue of all these brands. I might still have 3 bosses to report to, doesn't make it much easier, but it's basically moving from a Lufthansa-centric approach to a multi-brand approach. It's new to us because in Lufthansa, when you join Lufthansa, you grow up in Lufthansa, you always think in yellow terms, right? We're moving into more orange now, so some of the red from Swiss and Austrian should enter our DNA. The second pillar is new to us. This is where we are basically creating a new platform, a new low-cost platform, call it a new airline, that will run outside the traditional labor agreements, the traditional cost structures. The company is based out of Cologne, has a subsidiary in Vienna, and should be able to compete with those low-costers in Europe, as well as on the long haul that I just mentioned. So extremely competitive cost basis. And again, it's a system of its own. They do not have a lot to do with our traditional system. I'll show you later. We have a couple of planes already up and running, and I'll show you the destination portfolio. But that's our strategy to participate in that leisure growing arena, which is very price sensitive. And the third pillar is obviously the aviation group, which Elmar is part of, where the pearls, the diamonds, like Lufthansa Technik, obviously will get a task to increase their business and increase their profitability, but are very, very relevant to the overall. So focus on the traditional pillar on more margin optimization. On the right side, we're really looking for profitable growth. So this low-cost carrier, Eurowings, operating in Cologne and Vienna, has defined some of its first destinations. But before I touch on those, you can see that we are growing, and when you look at our network development, you can see that we are growing more to the west than we are to the east. A couple of years ago, growth was all in China. Everybody wanted to go to China, and we did the same. To do that in a profitable way is extremely difficult, for competitive reasons, but also for other reasons. So, historically, the North Atlantic has always been our most profitable traffic bundle, and that's where most airlines, at least based in Europe, make their money. So, we just opened Tampa, we'll be opening Cancun, Panama, and San Jose, California, that's the Silicon Valley airport, and Austrian just opened Vienna, Miami, and the plan for this low-cost platform is the neighboring island, the Dominican Republic, with Plata, Punta and then Cuba. So you can see we're moving back into an area where we moved out when we sold Condor. I don't know if you remember the airline Condor, they were part of the Lufthansa group. We said, no, we want to move out, and so we're kind of coming back. Not easy because it is very, very competitive. But the good news here is that my region, where I'm responsible is growing. So sometimes I'm growing too fast, and some of these destinations I'm not sure if we should be there, but it's great to see, and it's a great message for me and my team, that the Western Hemisphere and Latin America is on a growth path. So, this is sort of in a nutshell the Lufthansa strategy, our environment, the situation we are in, and if you ask me when are we going to fly to Puerto Rico, it's a good question. One of the reasons why I'm here is because we are in talks with your government, with the institutions here. Is it feasible or not? We're crunching the numbers. I can't tell you now where we're going, but personally, me as a person, there's potential. Not only leisure, but also business travel. And I think if you get the right mix, business and leisure, that can be a very exciting endeavor. And so we're sitting together. Honestly, Elmar doesn't want to fly via New York every time he has to go to Hamburg, so he's working very heavily before he's going to fly to me. And it has to make sense. And so we're kind of on a fact-finding mission. We're going to crunch some numbers. But personally, I think this is a very exciting place because you have a lot to offer. Not only scenic palms and lovely beaches, but when you look at the people that actually are participating in this conference, the level of knowledge and sophistication, engineering power you have on this island, and your governor just spoke to us a couple of days ago in Newark, New Jersey, and he said you have more engineers per square mile than any other country in the world. So I think as an engineering company, this is where we need to be, right? So we'll look at it very closely. Thank you for your attention. I'm glad to take any questions. Thank you very much. Did I answer all your questions? Okay, I'm still around. If you have any questions, I'm not around anymore, go to Elmar. He's our deputy, our ambassador on the island. Thank you very much. Have a great, one question.
I would like to opportunity if you can talk later. We have knowledge that you have identified 40 students from the north area of Puerto Rico, and that you are integrating these students from high school to your organization, to your groups. That's something that people in Puerto Rico should know more about. You have some information.
All I know, and I think Elmar knows more about, is that we have a very close relationship with the college and the university, that we are part of a training. I think the university has developed courses for us to make sure that we get the right type of skill set to work in our facility. And I think if we grow even further, we'll be able to employ even more engineers and highly skilled people from the universities. I think that's very exciting. And maybe beyond. You know, we're a global company. If you're mobile, you can move with Lufthansa all over the world. So I think it's hard to leave the island. I acknowledge that. I don't know if you want to move to Hamburg maybe for a couple of years, because it's pretty cold up there. But in general, that's all I know. And I think It's a good example of how institutions can work together for the better of the company, but also for the community and for young people to create new jobs. I think it's very, very exciting. And a very unique selling proposition you have here in your country, because skilled labor, especially in the US, is very rare. If you want to hire engineers, it's very, very difficult. I know from other German companies in the US, that's the big bottleneck for growth, skilled labor. I think you have a huge potential here. Elmar, did I answer that in the right direction? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much.